Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at instantReplaySportsCards.com.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? We can typically replace them while you wait. Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? In many cases, we can have it back to you the next day. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, just south of Tractor Supply. The best place in town to take a leak.
It's football season, and that boot store reminds you to roll tide. Go Noles, War Eagles, sick 'em dogs, and go Gators. Before the cold weather hits, shop that boot store for all your winter western wear and Carhartt work clothes to keep you warm on the job. That boot store, where God is good all the time. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5, and Friday and Saturday, 9 till 5:30. Next to Bill Burkey at 15th Street, Panama City, that boot store.
What does it take to live an uncommon life? Here's former Super Bowl winning coach Tony Dungy with today's uncommon moment.
Michael Westbrook was a gifted wide receiver for the Washington Redskins and Cincinnati Bengals during an 8-year NFL career. He had succeeded at every level of football. Then at a relatively young age of 30, he retired and became active in mixed martial arts. Why? Because apparently he never even liked football, but felt he needed to play because it was expected of him. Many of us have experienced the expectations of others, but God made you the unique person you are. If your dreams develop in the process of seeking God's will and fit within His purposes, follow them. He wouldn't have given them to you if they were not important.
Tony Dungy, author of the popular Uncommon book series. More at CoachDungy.com. That's CoachDungy.com.
The power of the ocean deserves everyone's respect. Even on those calm days, it's hard to see the powerful rip currents. Every year, unsuspected swimmers find themselves in the grip of a rip, and many of them lose their lives. Such tragic events can easily be prevented with a few local tips. Know before you go, check your local beach forecast before you head out, and always swim near a lifeguard. If you're a good swimmer, don't fight the rip. Swim parallel to the beach until you get free of the current's hold. Live like a local, love the beach, and respect the ocean.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida.
There's no need to fear.
The Underdogs are here. The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
What time is it?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Keep making noise! Keep making noise!
What's going on, Panama City? You're now in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad, and we're just going to be talking, just a couple of fellers talking sports this afternoon. You guys can call in or text us 850-215-6290, 104.3 in beautiful Panama City and 101.9 in just as beautiful Port St. Joe. Auburn was on the air this weekend. They took on the Georgia Bulldogs in a 31-13 final there. So Auburn falls, but, you know, just as well for Auburn fans is the fact that over there in Tennessee, another instance, almost deja vu, just the colors a little bit different on the uniforms of field goal post going down Tennessee streets and into the Tennessee River.
By the way, that's a hike from that stadium to the river. Like, I was thinking about that. I lived there for 7 years, and I worked right across the street from Vanderbilt Stadium. Mm-hmm. That's a long way to walk without a goalpost. I mean, I was impressed by that. You know, give Vandy students credit.
Party like it's 1984.
I was going to say, I mean, it was Ray Perkins' time, you know, the last time they beat them. But And I guess it makes sense. I mean, last time they beat them, you had a coach following a legend and, similar kind of thing. But, yeah, I mean, it was interesting. As Bama fans, I can't say I was thrilled by it, but it was certainly interesting.
It was interesting.
And much the way Auburn fans got some solace in Alabama losing, I got a little bit later in the night
with Arkansas.
With Arkansas beating Tennessee. But, it was. I think it's very indicative of what we're going to see in college football going forward. It's when you're turning over a third, a half of your roster almost every year, I think you're going to see a lot of that. Look like world beaters one week and can't beat your way out of a paper bag the next one. So
I think that's what
maybe the new norm.
Maybe was so concerning. Not that it was concerning. Anytime you lose to Vanderbilt, right? Which I don't know that in my lifetime.
We did say going in, this was a different Vanderbilt, and
yes,
it was.
It is.
I mean, look, they lost some games they should have won, but they've looked a lot better. They've got a gritty quarterback. They had really good line play. They ran the ball pretty effectively. I mean, Alabama's defensive line has been a worry for me all year, but the way they were pushed around, and there was a lot of good scheme blocking, a lot of guards pulling, trap blocks, different things like that. They neutralized that defensive line pretty badly, put a lot of work on the linebackers and the secondary, and just the bigger thing for me was that they never seemed to get it right. I mean, look, turnovers certainly hurt Alabama. A lot of things hurt Alabama in that game, but you don't give up 40 points to Vanderbilt. You just don't.
And Vanderbilt kept on answering the call.
That's
though.
right.
They were right
That's
there
right.
to answer the bell, and
Look,
I found that to be impressive.
They played a great football game. They really did. And I like it because I like Coach Lee. I always have. The fact that anybody said he was on the hot seat going into the season drove me nuts. I think he's done a wonderful job there. I really do. So, good for them. I hate that it, came at the expense of our Tide. But, hey, I mean, it makes the season interesting. The nice thing is this game does not cripple Alabama the way it would have in years previous.
Last year. Yeah.
So, we'll see going forward. But certainly not what I had on my bingo card going into the weekend.
No, but there was quite, I think, throughout college football, one of the things that lessened the blow, right, was that that might have been the ugliest upset. Mm-hmm. But there was plenty of upsets this last Saturday, so it's like, all right, well, Michigan, USC,
5 of the top 11 went down.
Come hang out with us.
I think the difference, and this is where, college football's tough because it's so tradition-based, and we think of the big names and this, that, or the other, is if you look at the teams on paper without, looking at the school, Vanderbilt would look a lot better than you think. But the name Vanderbilt makes it seem 1,000 times worse. Arkansas beating Tennessee. Okay, Arkansas, I think, has beat Tennessee the last 4 times they played or something crazy like that. And Arkansas, even though they haven't had a great last 10 or 12 years, solid program.
Right.
Michigan loses to Washington. Washington not very good this year.
Where were they last year?
but they're a solid team who's won national championships and last year played for one, So USC, I mean, that's kind of a weird thing coming across the country and this, that, and the other. And then who was the other one? Miami should have lost going out west.
Yeah, that was the one I woke up to. I fell asleep in that game. I'm like, oh, man, I can't believe that came back.
Who was it? Missouri. Missouri just got boat raced. Which I think a lot of people saw that. I ended up picking Missouri because I was like, too many people are on this. Something's wrong. But Missouri hasn't looked sharp all year. And A&M, of course, they got Wegman back, and they were just firing on all cylinders. So.
They were, man. That was a big surprise to me. Not the fact that Texas A&M won, but they did it in such a dominant fashion.
Well, especially after he's been off for a couple of weeks, that he was that sharp coming back in. They looked good. They looked like they did for the first 3 quarters against Notre Dame. I mean, that's a team that can look really good and can, play to what you're seeing a lot of in the country right now is a lot of teams playing to their competition level. Which is interesting, So, I mean, and that goes to the point of you don't have a whole lot of veteran teams who've been together for several years, I guess.
That's a great point. And also, I think that the competition is, we're seeing more parity out of the competition across the board in college football. We do have a caller on the line.
Yeah.
Want to let everyone know, as always, on Mondays, we're doing best and worst of the weekend. So if you have one, you can text that into 850-215-6290, or you can post it on our live Facebook feed right now. Just go to ESPN Northwest, or go to Facebook, go to ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got RJ Starsevit. We're going to be taking some left turns with him after the big race at Talladega yesterday afternoon. And not only was it a big race, but we got the big one, and it nearly affected every single one on the racetrack. Steve Barnes is going to join us at the top of hour number 2. I'm sure he's got a lot to say on the Alabama-Vanderbilt ball game from Saturday evening. And, Ole Miss had themselves a heck of a game, and they've got a big-time game in Death Valley this Saturday. So Steve Barnes, senior writer for the RebelWalk.com, will join us at 5 o'clock. And then, as always, on Mondays, it's a happy Monday. We're going to have the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd and Julia. I think Todd's going to be here.
I have no idea.
No, we're going to find out at 5:20. We're going to find out at 5:20 this afternoon. And, of course, taking your calls and texts throughout the duration of this 2-hour show. LSU Jeff, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What is going on, my man?
This was the most exciting college football weekend in more than a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was. And LSU had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, because y'all were on a bye week, right?
Yeah, we were on a bye, and so was Texas.
So that makes it fun, even more fun, right? I mean,
I know. And Michigan was the other one that probably Brian was thinking about also when he thought about Missouri going down. Michigan went down. So Michigan last year, what were they saying? It's us against the world. Well, guess what? This week, you've seen everybody in the SEC come out of the woodwork against Alabama. It's almost like Alabama against the world. After they beat Georgia, everybody's eating up this Vanderbilt thing. They're just eating it up. All the schools. It's crazy.
Well, they should be, though, right? Like, if I was not an Alabama fan, I would, be extremely excited about this. I'm not saying that. I can get it from the other perspective as well. I can look from the outside, from how college football looks at this, and it's a good thing for college football, dude. I mean, I wouldn't say I was sick to my stomach, but it was like, golly, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how you lose it's the name, exactly what Brian said. You can put this roster on paper and exchange that word Vanderbilt with, Fresno State, and you might be able to make more sense out of it. But because it's Vanderbilt, hey, all I know is this. Auburn, they play Vanderbilt, and then the very next week they got a bye week, then they play ULM. So the two worst losses in the history of Alabama since 2007. Maybe Auburn can get a dose of those in the same exact year. And you can listen to those games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. So outside of the Bama upset, Bama losing to Vanderbilt, what was something else that stood out to you this weekend, LSU, Jeff?
Well, I thought Pittman was on the hot seat at Arkansas, and him beating Tennessee just took him off. It really did, especially at home like that.
I don't have any issue with that. I think that this year has been different for Arkansas, right? Because the previous 3 years, at least since they had KJ Jefferson, I would say after the initial hire of Sam Pittman, there was a lot of buzz around Arkansas. And then this year, for whatever reason, there just wasn't. I don't know if that's the addition of Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, but there really wasn't a hype around Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks. And for them to handle a lot of people are calling Tennessee a high-flying offense. I don't think that it's the same offense that we've seen out of them under Heupel, but they've got a real good defense and a real good run game. Unfortunately, you needed more than 14 points the other evening, Saturday evening, to get the job done.
Well, I mean, Tennessee, the problem I don't like about Tennessee is that it's almost like they're not tested, not just because they haven't played tough opponents. Because I thought NC State was better than what they were, apparently. But they don't test themselves as in, like, they get a 7-point lead and they play conservative ball and then they'll go for the jugular right after they get a little lead. They just play so conservative that they're not extending themselves to get even better, where Alabama and Georgia are doing that. They're taking a few risks to where they're at this higher level, where Tennessee is not like that. And to be honest with you, Missouri, I've been saying before the season started, I said Missouri is the most overrated team in the SEC, but they have a light schedule. And I understand people saying they're going to go 10-2. Yeah. I understand that, but I really just thought that they're so overrated, and Texas A&M exposed them.
Hey, you could be 10-2, and that doesn't mean that you're a great football team, depending on what that schedule lines up to be.
Well, all these upsets this weekend, including USC and Michigan, and those 3 undefeated SEC teams, I think it really, like I've been saying, there's going to be a 3-loss team slip into the playoffs. And I was beginning to doubt it before this last weekend, and then now I'm back to where I'm like, okay, it is going to happen.
Who's the 3-loss team that gets in? Who do you think it is as it stands where we're at today? Because you got Ohio State and Oregon. One of those 2 teams are going down. That's a 2 versus 3 battle. So they're going to take an L, and you don't know what's that going to spiral them to. What team to you right now has the best opportunity looking at their schedule? They end up with 3 losses but still get in. Tell me why it's Notre Dame. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it won't be Notre Dame.
No, it's got to be either an SEC or a Big Ten team. And if it's Penn State or Oregon, it remains to be seen.
Okay.
I'm not sure if USC can withstand and still slide in right in the number 11 slot, because we're still thinking that that 12 spot is going to be that automatic bid team, and you just don't know. We don't know if it's James Madison or Boise or who it's going to be at this point. But yeah, it's going to be tough because I've been saying it all along. LSU is going to go 9-3. They could be number 12, and they're going to get left out because of the automatic bid. And that's what I've been saying from the get-go, and I'm still kind of sitting by it. I'm just wondering if we can handle a number 9 Ole Miss team this weekend.
Well, you got all the reason in the world, after last year's game to want payback. Having the week off is good. I don't know. I mean, that is such, it. But that's such a traditional, long-standing rivalry, Ole Miss, LSU. I mean, there's so much history behind it. That's a bigger game than I think a lot of people around the country realize. So I would imagine both schools are going to be fired up, ready to go. But LSU may have a little bit extra because that was a tough loss last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, with 1 million points.
Yeah, it was a fun game to watch, though, especially if you don't have any dog in the fight, per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think if LSU loses? That would be second loss of the year, right?
Yeah,
because you lost to USC.
First conference
Bama's
loss,
your third.
Yeah.
So Bama's your third.
Bama and Ole Miss. Oh, Bama, LSU. Yeah.
Yeah, LSU has to play Ole Miss and Bama, but the whole thing about it is, so now you have to beat Oklahoma. I think that's a good chance. But you have to beat A&M.
That's right.
And that's the question. So are you 8-4? And totally, completely away from the whole playoff pack, or you 9-3 and you land at that 11 or 12 spot, and they're wondering, you're going to get left out. I'm not going to be a whiny baby because I don't think that we can win it all anyway, But I don't know. It doesn't matter to me if we miss the playoffs if we go 9-3.
Is it bothersome or concerning to you that seems to be the trend for Brian Kelly at LSU, though, is 8-4?
No, we keep winning 10 games. We went 10-4 and 10-3. I think 2 years. Yeah, that's what we did. 10-4, 10-3. So we win 10 games. Let's say we go 9-3. We go to a bowl game. We win our 10th game that way. It's another 10-3.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of Bo Pelini at Nebraska. He won 10 games every year, and guess what they did? They got rid of him.
Yeah.
And they've never been the same ever since.
That's right. The interesting thing for me looking at this Ole Miss LSU game is LSU could lose that game, and in and of itself, it wouldn't be crippling because everything is still in front of them. If they ran the table and went 10-2, I think they would get in because of who they would have beaten down the stretch.
And that brand, the LSU brand's big too.
The problem, and it's becoming more of an issue with these young players and how social media conscious they are and this, that, or the other, is you're coming off this week off, big game against Ole Miss. If they lose that game, what does it do to their psyche? What does it do to the psyche of the team? My worry about LSU all year has been you lose a couple of games you feel like you should win, and this spirals out of control. We see it with one team in the SEC every year. So my worry is, even though Ole Miss is a quality opponent, and I don't think it would be a bad loss, is things could start to spiral the wrong way for LSU if they end up losing this game.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right, because you lose to Ole Miss, you lose to A&M, well, you're definitely losing to Bama, But I mean, what's the worst you can do? 7-5 because you do lose to Oklahoma. I mean, is that horrible? It's not going to get him fired. Look at Napier.
Yeah.
He's living week to week on his stupid little games that he's been winning.
Well, I think Billy's already done. I just think.
Well, that's what we've been saying, but it's been 3 or 4 weeks now we've been saying that because he beat who was it, Mississippi State?
Yep.
And then he beat UCF like convincingly this last weekend.
See, I don't think that matters with him. What I think is they're trying to figure out if the athletic director is going to. The biggest problem they got at Florida right now is they have an interim president. And the interim president's the one who hired Strickland. And it's just a convoluted mess. I think Napier's definitely not going to be back next year. They're just trying to figure out when to actually pull the trigger on when it puts them in the most advantageous situation for a new coach. And, is that the next bye week? I don't know. Their other issue, and talked about this plenty, they don't have any assistant coaches with any head coaching experience that I'm aware of. That makes it that much more difficult to go in through the interim for the rest of the year. So there's a lot they've got to figure out at the University of Florida, but I don't believe for a second that Billy Napier is going to be back next year. He would have to literally run the table, and I don't see any way that's happening.
Okay, I'll disagree because I think they have 3 wins, right?
Yeah.
3 and 2. Okay. So they have I forget who's the week one that they have.
Texas A&M?
Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say Kentucky's a week one, and then they beat Florida State at the end of the year. Okay, that's 5 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
All they got to do is pull one upset. Tennessee or somebody else, they pull one upset. He's 6 and 6. I don't know if it saves his job, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people were saying at the beginning of the year. Like, if you can get to 6, maybe that saves his job.
I thought he had to get to 7 to keep his job.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's what I...
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like Napier, I think, more than others do. But I didn't think they'd keep him at 6 and 6. I really didn't. I thought 6 and 6... My worry was that was the best he could do this year just with the schedule.
Just the schedule. Yeah, schedule alone.
And granted, that was thinking Florida State was going to be a lot better than they've turned out to be.
Right.
I mean, for lack of a better term, looks like about as easy a game as they have on the schedule this year right now with the way Florida State's playing, which is amazing. But,
this just shows you how quickly we forget. Florida beat Tennessee last year.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
I mean, just think about that. But we already forgot that even happened.
And they could, technically, they could still beat them this year.
Yeah.
They got an excellent opportunity because Tennessee is going to be dealing with a little bit of
internal struggle.
Well, just shock.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those guys were drinking the Kool-Aid. I really do. I think they're in shock right now. I really do.
Yeah, the quarterback's not what he needs to be, and they got Georgia and Alabama on the schedule, and they just got beat by Arkansas squad. LSU's in a better position than Tennessee is.
They are right now.
That's unbelievable to me because,
You know what, Jeff, what it reminds me of with Nico, I think he's extremely talented, but he's been in very advantageous situations all the way up to this Arkansas game, and it reminds me of the old racing adage, which is funny because we're about to go into it.
Yeah.
It's like he's fast, but he ain't hit nothing yet.
Yeah.
I think Nico just hit something. And I'm curious how he's going to respond to this. I really am, because he could get tentative from here.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll just have to see that. These losses, these upsets make the season that much more interesting because I kind of find it boring if we're all going 12-0 and 11-1 and all of that good stuff. Let's have the best team at number 1 be 10-2 as we approach conference championship weekend. That would be a lot of fun. LSU Jeff, we're out of time. Thanks so much for the call, my friend.
See you, Jeff.
Y'all think of these guys.
Yes, sir. You do the same, and he's right though, man. LSU, and with a win against Ole Miss, now are they in 3rd best position, 4th best position in the SEC?
Yeah, and what he led with it's like the best weekend in like a decade. I was thinking of that. I think it was 2011. but it was the very last weekend where 8 different things had to happen to get Alabama the championship game, and they all happened.
Yeah.
Obviously this wasn't as consequential a week, but it reminded me of that with just so many you got to be kidding me games. So.
And we're just getting started, baby. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. We are your home for the Auburn Tigers, but coming up next, we're going to take some left turns with RJ Starcevic. We'll be right back. Keep it locked in, y'all.
It's here. The 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app version 2.0. Now featuring ultra high fidelity. You'll feel like you're in the game. Plus more opportunities to win weekly prizes from local businesses when you click it to win it. Download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app today at Google Play or the Apple Store.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. The remainder of the day, there will be a moderate breeze out of the northeast, sunshine and 85. Clear skies tonight, slightly cooler at 70 and a wind coming out of the northeast at 7 miles per hour. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a gentle breeze right around 11 miles per hour with a high of 85. Slightly cooler at 79 Wednesday, and we'll have some clouds. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Experience a higher level of service. For over 32 years, David Adamson Designer Jewelry has been providing you the very best of fine jewelry and repair in Lynn Haven. Now, David has added Amber Anderson and Russ Klinger to help you find the one-of-a-kind engagement ring, anniversary gift, or something just for you. You've trusted Amber and Russ in PCB for years, and now they're together again at David Adamson Designer Jewelry in Lynn Haven. To celebrate, they're now having their fall inventory reduction sale. 25 to 75% off store-wide. 830 Ohio Avenue in Lynn Haven, right across from the Lynn Haven City Hall.
You've got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
They said it couldn't be done. The Afternoon Underdogs are live.
They say it can't be done.
Are we going to do what they say can't be done?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And you're in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We do apologize for not getting to any of the best and worst of the weekend. There in that.
They're on it, and it's just a staple when you and I are on.
Yeah, we don't ever get to, but we try to. We really do try to. We'll pick up at 4:40, but we will start with our first brand of best and worst of the weekend because we have RJ Starcevic on. Go check out his page on Instagram, Motor Stardom. RJ, first and foremost, what's going on? And RJ, ladies and gentlemen, is in the Tampa area, so Hurricane Milton, as it is right now, is headed that way. So thoughts and prayers with you and all of the other people over there in that part of the state.
I appreciate it. We are, down here in Tampa, Florida. It is, obviously after seeing the aftermath of Helene and, not just Florida, but the Carolinas, all the destruction going on up there. It's definitely, incredibly grateful to see all the help going on up there and donations and NASCAR teams helping out up there in the Carolinas as well. But, the only people really down here in South Florida, Central Florida, that got affected, badly by Helene was the coast, and this Milton's coming right towards the coast. So it's going to be a long 3 to 4 days for everybody down here in the Tampa area. But just praying for everyone around me, and hopefully we're gonna make it through and get through it, and come together all as one.
Hey, absolutely. That was one of the as we're 3 days away from the anniversary of Hurricane Michael when it hit us over here in Panama City. That was one of the biggest things that stood out to me is how the community banded together. Best and worst of the weekend for you from the race at Talladega.
Yeah, I got to say, my worst of the weekend, probably all that fuel saving we got going on still at the super speedways. It's just everybody saving fuel and kind of just racing half throttles. You know, the fans notice it and the drivers hate it. You know, they were saying the drivers and the crew chiefs, they just hate riding around it. I mean, Daytona and Talladega at half throttle, you want to be full throttle. You know, you want to be hammered down, going for the win at all times. And then I'd say the best of the weekend, got to give it to, Brad Doherty and his team in the number 47 car, Ricky Stenhouse, getting a win. You always love to see an underdog kind of come through and get the victory at Talladega, and that was really awesome to see them get that win. And Ricky Stenhouse climbing the fence after the race, went all the way up to the top, and Talladega's a pretty tall fence. We got to see that live on the broadcast, but awesome for him and that team.
That is some really cool stuff. Now give us a recap of the race that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was able to come away with.
Yeah, it was a race that, I mean, even with all that fuel saving and everything, it still kept you on the edge of your seat because they were still 3 and 4 wide the whole time. You know, and the drivers came out and said, yeah, we were kind of just riding around, so it wasn't as intense as it looked. But as a fan, when you're watching, you don't want to take your eyes away from the screen when you're watching Daytona or Talladega because you know anything can happen. So the first 2 stages were relatively clean. Drivers were able to keep themselves kind of still in the mix, except for the end at stage 2 where Ryan Blaney got turned, hit the wall, and his race was over right after that. But then you get to the end of the race, we're coming to about 5 laps to go, and the big one happens. Takes out literally everybody. The largest crash basically ever. 28 cars were caught up in the big one on the backstretch of Talladega coming to the finish there, so everybody was wiped out. There's lots of banter back and forth between the crash clock policy and everything, and people being allowed to continue and people not being allowed to continue. That was, that was definitely up for discussion, and will be up for discussion this week as it was last week. But we get to the finish with basically who was left, and it happened to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Brad Keselowski leading the field to the green flag, and they were able to stay 2 by 2 all the way into the end. A 2-horse race. William Byron kind of pulls out to the outside there, coming to the line to make it 3 wide. So we get that photo finish, 3 wide finish at the end that we've seen so many times at Talladega now. I mean, in the last 10 years, we have seen a number of photo finishes, and we get another one this weekend. And this time, it's Ricky Stenhouse, who lost in a photo finish back in 2020, now is on the winning side, beating Brad Keselowski and William Byron out to the line.
And I'm sure that experience in 2020 made him like this or enjoy this experience that much more, getting him a photo finish in the playoffs, even though he might not be he's not in the playoffs, is he?
No, not in the playoffs.
Yeah, just, man, those guys, I love how you're not necessarily one of the 12 drivers left, but you can still wreck it. No pun intended there for the rest of the field, who had high expectations but ended up with a disappointing finish.
I'd have to say Ryan Blaney. It was really, a guy that's won so many times at Talladega, especially in this fall race. Won last year as well. We expected him to be up there, be up front, which he was, but gets a bad push from Alex Bowman, hits the wall, and smashes the front of that car. So that was a guy that I thought was certainly going to have a better finish, and unfortunately didn't even make it through the second stage.
What about on the flip side of that? Who had low expectations but ended up with a very impressive finish?
Eric Jones is a guy that's expected to do well in these super speedways, but that team has struggled lately. They've just had bad finishes and bad luck as well, but he's able to come home with a 5th-place finish in a race where he sped on pit road earlier as well in that final stage. Thought it was over, but then when the entire field wrecks, it kind of just parts the seas for you. So he was able to get up there, keep it clean, and get himself a 5th-place finish. So shout out to all those guys over there at Legacy Motor Club because they needed that.
Well, we were talking, or you mentioned you were talking about the damaged vehicle policy. What is your thoughts, your perspective on NASCAR and their damaged vehicle policy, and what are maybe a thing or two that you would like to see them change?
Yeah, so there's been, policies on damaged vehicles for a while, and they implemented this before the next-gen car. But because of the next-gen car, we've seen issues where cars will just simply spin out, and all their tires are below. We just because of how this next-gen car is, all the tires will just blow out. They can't drive it back to pit road. And so, teams were like, oh, you can't drive it back. You're done. But then, they came out with this, one rule. Okay, we'll tow you back to pit road, and then you could repair it, if we feel like your car is repairable. We get to last week where, and this has been a conversation for years, but it's finally just sparked up these last few weeks, where last week at Kansas, Josh Berry, he crashes. The team's like, okay, we want to bring it to pit road, but, tires are flat, can't really drive it back. Hey, why don't you, let's get NASCAR to tow it back to pit road so we can get that, 5-6 minutes to repair it, see if we can get up to speed. But instead, NASCAR towed them to the campgrounds, and they were just like, well, I guess we're out. They're telling us we're done. So they were really upset about that. And then you come to Talladega this week, where they kind of did a 50-50, where they then were like, okay, they started bringing cars to pit road, and the series director was talking last night that they at the race saying, we're going to be out here, this week. We wanted to look at it differently, blah, blah. I literally just listened to a tidbit from Denny Hamlin before this saying you can't change the rules in the middle of the season. I think that's been the frustrating thing is you come out, especially in the middle of playoffs. And, after all that, I think my opinion is on it. I think they should, with all the seen in the next-gen car, especially the tire situation, I think we should at least let them tow it to pit road, let them see if they can repair it. If they can make it back out, then, they make it back out. And if they can't, then so be it. But I think the confusion and the angriness right now amongst the drivers is the confusion with them and the teams. I mean, they don't even know what the rules are because they continue to kind of change week to week. So, from my perspective, I think that teams should be allowed to repair their cars because it's not their fault that, all four tires just blow in this car, unlike anywhere else. But I'm definitely always, more towards putting it in the hands of the teams.
What about... Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, all right, you can hear me. I can't hear it over on this side. Okay. It might just be my headphones.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, where are we at in the playoff standings right now?
Well, we are looking at a playoffs where we're going into the race before, we go to the next round. We got 12 drivers. It's going to go down to 8 after the Charlotte Roval. And we're sitting with about 3 drivers that are probably going to need a win or a huge day. We got Chase Briscoe. He's 32 points back. He's probably going to want to go out there and be thinking, I got to win this race. Same thing, Austin Cindric. He's 29 points back. He's going out there thinking, I got to win this race. Daniel Suarez is 20 points back. He doesn't have to win. Anything can happen. But I think he's thinking, we got to get a top 10 day. We got to get stage points. And then Joey Logano is kind of that guy sitting at 13 points back where you're at that gap, you can kind of go points racing. You can really just, make sure you have yourself a solid day and make sure the people above you don't. So those guys kind of on that cut right now. Chase Elliott, only 13 points above, which is crazy to think about. Even after their great Talladega run, they did get in a wreck later in the race, but then you look at Tyler Reddick, regular season champion. He's only 14 points above the cut. So, guys that are safe, William Byron, he's locked into the next round. Christopher Bell, he's 57 points above. He's pretty much locked in. Kyle Larson's pretty much locked in. Denny Hamlin is 30 points above. I would say he's pretty much a lock to get in. Like I said, you never know what can happen, but Charlotte Roval, it's a crazy track. Anything can happen, and I would assume we're going to see at least one guy that's in right now be out, one guy that's out be in.
And let's talk a little bit about the Xfinity Series. Give us a recap of that. By the way, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3, Panama City 101.9, and Port St. Joe. We're on the line with RJ Starcevic, and y'all go over to Instagram and follow his page, Motor Stardom. Give us the recap of the Xfinity race over there at Dega.
Yeah, another race that comes down to the end after a big amount of the field gets taken out, and the big one, as they call it, and ultimately it's Junior Motorsports. Sammy Smith grabbing his first win for Junior Motorsports, much needed. Hadn't won all year long. They'd kind of been struggling, and now he gets a free ticket to the round of 8 in the Xfinity Series. And Ryan Sieg was the one pushing him. He gets a second place finish. That's his second one of the year for himself in that family-owned organization. And you look at, now 2 series, the Xfinity Series going into the cutoff for the playoffs as well as the Cup Series. So you kind of get 2 cutoff races, Saturday and Sunday, with a ton of playoff implications at, what I like to call one of the most unique tracks in the world, the Charlotte Roval, because you never really heard that name before they invented the track. You're like, what the hell's a Roval? And then, somebody explained it. You're like, oh, okay, road course and oval. It's simple, but I guess it does its job.
There you go, man. I do like that. I've never really thought about why it's called the Roval, but I think that's because we have you on and we talk about it at least once or twice a year. Now we also have the lawsuit going on between the teams of 23XI, Front Row Motorsports, them taking on NASCAR. Can you let us in, shed some light on what it is that's going on in this particular lawsuit?
Yeah, the legal stuff is getting wild over here at NASCAR. So I know we had probably talked about the charters at some point on this show in the last, few months. NASCAR kept proposing charter deals, teams, declining it, not wanting to sign. It's all, revenue share. Obviously, the teams, the drivers, they want more of the TV revenue, and they feel NASCAR's probably taken too much of it. And so NASCAR came out. This was said by Richard Childress this week that this was the situation. NASCAR came out at, let's see the exact time he said. He said they came out around 6 o'clock, and they said, hey, you guys got to sign this by midnight or you lose your charters. That's what Richard Childress was under the impression what was happening. Everybody signs because they feel, and everybody's came out and just said, oh, we felt like we just had no choice. They were pressured into signing, blah, blah, blah. Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, 2311, and Front Row Motorsports do not sign it. They kind of stand their ground. They're standing up for themselves. And then a few weeks later, comes out they're filing a lawsuit against NASCAR. So something that is certainly unforeseen. We'll see how it goes. They hired a pretty good attorney with some good records behind him of winning cases. So we're going to see where this goes. Obviously, I'm sure this will go into the off season. NASCAR has yet to come out with any sort of statement. But it's just a battle of money, revenue share, and Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan are out here looking to try and change the sport for the better for other teams. And I'm sure that there are teams in the garage that are rooting for them that really didn't have, feel like they had the leeway to go stand up for themselves. So it's certainly an interesting situation. Crazy it's happening right in the midst of the playoffs. There's so much going on. But if I had to give my prediction, I don't know. I feel like they might win it. We'll see the whole world just turned upside down come January, so we'll see.
Wow, that's. Do you think that these are the best teams to be the one taking on NASCAR, or do you maybe would it bode better for the sport if this was Hendrick and RCR or another or two other temes?
I think it would certainly bode better if it was Hendrick, being such a historic team in the sport. But look, your guy Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
He is very outspoken. He's going to do what he needs to do to get what he feels like is right across. And all props to him. There is many other team owners clearly in the garage that aren't willing to do this, and he comes with Michael Jordan by his side, right? Anybody you can have by your side, you got Michael Jordan, and they're going to fight this war with NASCAR. So I think if I had to have predicted any team in the garage to do this, I would have predicted it to be 2311. I think Denny Hamlin's going to make sure his point gets across. Looks like they got a good crew behind him, and you can only fight Michael Jordan so many times and win. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. But yeah, Denny Hamlin's the man leading the charge.
Let's get into it then. Your top three drivers to watch in the Xfinity and the Cup Series for the Roval at Charlotte.
Yeah, over there in the Xfinity Series, I'm looking at A.J. Allmendinger. It's a crazy stat, but he's undefeated in the Xfinity Series at the Charlotte Roval. He's just won every single year. Now, I think he can certainly do the same this year, but he'll have to fight off the second guy I'll throw in there, and that's Shane Van Gisbergen. Has won a ton of the road courses this year, pretty much every one besides Watkins Glen in the Xfinity Series. I certainly think he'll be somebody to watch. And then Sheldon Creed, I think, finished second so many times. Maybe he goes out. Sheldon Creed gets his first career victory finally this week. And then over in the Cup Series, going to be a crazy race, stages, strategy, points all over the place. I'm looking at somebody like Kyle Larson to just, even though he's good for the playoffs, they're just going to go out there and try to win the race and lay the smack down on everybody. I certainly think they're capable. I think the same for the guy right above him in points as well, Christopher Bell, the number 20 for Joe Gibbs. I think they're going to have a tremendous race. He'd be my second in there. And then in my third, it's almost like a dark horse, but dude, he has been one of the most clutchest drivers when you date back to his win at Darlington. Chase Briscoe, he is last in the point standings right now. He came out, Darlington must-win situation. One, he came out at Watkins Glen and Bristol, needed to perform to advance. He got, in the next round. I'm looking at here at Charlotte Roval, Chase Briscoe. Maybe he goes on, just puts on another electric performance and goes out there, wins the race, and advances to the next round. But it's going to be a crazy fun weekend for sure.
Well, RJ, is always a lot of fun, and our thoughts and prayers are with you and the rest of the Tampa area as y'all get prepared for Hurricane Milton.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys as always, and we'll see you next week, and I'll always keep you guys updated.
All right, RJ Starcevic, ladies and gentlemen, y'all go check out his Instagram page. That is Motor Stardom. He does a wonderful job keeping up with the world of Xfinity and the Cup Series and just all things NASCAR. I mean, the kid's 20 years old, but he's absolutely amazing. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to try to get to the best and worst of the weekend when we get back.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore Portable Building Dealer, Panama City.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
We want a big-time sports show. Tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're live and local here.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
We need one more SEC team in there to shake things up.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back, and this is the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. It's David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad. We're about 17 minutes away from having Steve Barnes on the line with us. He's a senior writer for the RebelWalk.com. Make sure to go check out that website. We do have a little baseball going on. I got to get the channel refreshed up here, which reminds me that you guys can go to ESPNPC.com, click on the TV channel logo, and that'll take you to wherever it is that you need to go to get signed up for this great streaming service. We had Kevin Shady on the line with us Friday, and we were going over all of the great possibilities that are at your disposal whenever you get Stream Lucid TV is what it's called now. But right now, Guardians on top of the Indians, or tied with the Indians rather. Guardians on top of the Tigers. I've kind of made it a
easy
point.
for you to say.
Yeah, I've kind of just made it a point. I'm just going to call them the Indians for the rest of the playoffs. And we'll just get back to it next year. But a tie ball game right here in the bottom of the sixth. Guardians up to bat, and they've got a man on second here. So it's been a pitching battle. Last I looked, I'm not sure. This was earlier in the third inning. I believe the Guardians were getting no hit, but being that they have a runner on second, I think they might have gotten off of that schneid, if you will. But Scooble having another wonderful outing, 76 pitches in the bottom of the sixth, I think is very impressive, man. Who do you think represents the American League? Just go to the championship series, right? Because it's down to the Royals and the Yankees, and it's down to the Guardians and the Tigers. Which two teams do you think end up making it to the ALCS?
Well, it's hard because you come out of the wild card, and so you see the teams that are hot, like the Tigers and the Royals, and so there's an inherent kind of bias that, wow, those guys look good. Now that we've seen a game or two here, or getting into the second games, we pump the brakes a little bit. If I had to guess right now, that was a big deal, the Yankees getting the win. You can say it was on well, the Royals manager says a bad call. I don't know. I'm a Yankees fan, but I thought he was in there. But I think that was a big thing for the Yankees and the Royals. I think the Royals were riding momentum. I think the Yankees, needed that. I think if the Yankees go down and lose the first game, then here we go again. So I'm going to say the Yankees get through, and I'm going to take the Tigers. I like the way they're playing ball. I know that the Guardians got them in game one, but I don't know. I like the Tigers. I just think they're going to get through, and that's a scary series for the Yanks. So go on and book it, Vegas. It's going to be Guardians Royals in the championship series.
Hey, there you go, Guardians and Royals.
But no, I really do. I like Yankees Tigers.
Yankees Tigers will be. I think that really whatever it boils down to, I think this is the assumption that I've arrived at, is that whatever it comes down to in the ALCS, I'm cool with. Yeah. If it's Tigers, Royals,
I love the four teams.
Yankees,
yeah.
Whatever goes on in the National League is like, I don't like the Padres. I don't like the Mets. I don't like the Dodgers. But I think Phillies Dodgers would be a lot of fun. I think Mets Padres could be fun as well. That Padres Dodgers series though is really starting to heat up out there. And we never like to see fans throwing things at all. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's baseballs, if it's popcorn. Like, come on now, don't do that. But what have you thought of that Padres Dodgers series so far?
It's the series I wanted to see in the championship. Yeah, it's the way it laid out. Because I think you've got the juggernaut of the National League, or the perceived juggernaut. Philly's pretty darn good against the hottest team since the All-Star break. So I would have liked to have seen that in the next round. But that being said, I knew it, but it still amazed me to think, wow, Shohei's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it was just weird. But the Dodgers just look like they're got a kind of a calm confidence about them.
Yeah.
And that's what you need playing a hot baseball team like that. I think the Dodgers are gonna get through here. This is the one where I think chalk does hold. I think you're gonna get Dodgers, Phillies, and that should be a pretty darn good series because the Phillies are just tough and scrappy enough to really give the Dodgers a hard time. And I'm not sure who comes out of that, but I feel pretty confident those are the two teams we're getting.
Yeah, I like Dodgers, Phillies over there. And then, again, no matter which way the American League goes, I'm like, all right, it's been a long time since we've seen the Yankees. What, 2017 was that last time?
I think.
They were in the ALCS, so it's been a while, so I will always hate them to the utmost of my ability, but it's also one of the, all right, baseball could use y'all. I mean, a Dodgers-Yankee series, I don't know if there's enough media members to cover all that star power.
It's great for me as somebody who, as I was really becoming a sports fan, I mean, in your youth,
Right.
I get them when I'm, 2 years old, 3 years old, and then the one I remember is the 81 series, which I was 6 years old for. And my across the street neighbor, his uncle was Stan Wyzak of the Vero Beach Dodgers. So huge Dodgers fan. I'm a Yankees fan, so it started back then. But, certainly to people of, I won't say advanced age, but my age and older, Yankees Dodgers is a huge deal. And then if you go way back, obviously, to the Brooklyn days, I mean, it was the rivalry. So there's something special about Yankees Dodgers that I would love to see. It maybe doesn't hit quite like it used to when you had guys who were lifers with their teams, but Yankees Dodgers, that's a big deal.
It is, man, and it would be a lot of fun for that series. Let's try to get as much best and worst as we possibly can here. Kadam chiming in saying, Vandy, do I need to say more?
Yeah, worst, I agree.
He's a Florida State fan, so, I'm sure that
shared misery, baby.
Hey, there you go. We will share that misery for sure. Kyle Wright saying best Terry Francona being named the manager of the Reds. What'd you think of that signing?
I mean, obviously, the guy's got a pedigree. I mean, what he's done everywhere he's been, most notably with the Sox. But I think it's a good pickup for the Reds, I mean, I'm amazed he still wants to do it.
Yeah.
But, some guys, it's in their blood, and they've just got to be coaches and managers. And, he certainly knows how to get it done. And I think the Reds are just, a little move or two away from really making some noise. So I like it. I think it's good for them.
Worst for Kyle is Miami bailed out again by the officials. The lack of a targeting call, right? That's what we're blaming the officials for in this last game.
Not surprising that Kyle's worst would involve Miami doing something good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't get to see much of that game, so it's hard for me to comment on that one.
Sydney Fields saying Arkansas, baby, and worst is the fact that Jacoby Brissett is her NFL team's quarterback. She is a Patriots fan, and
you had a couple of good decades there.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to find a lot of people who have sympathy for Patriots.
Yeah,
fans.
No doubt about that. But we are a little sympathetic towards Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
And good for them.
Yeah,
good for them. And plus, anytime that ugly orange goes down is beautiful. Good old Rocky Top, ain't that right, Brian?
They were playing it on the loudspeakers at Arkansas after the game.
Really?
Yeah, for fun.
Oh,
Arkansas was doing
Yeah. Pettiness, right? Kind of like Vanderbilt throwing up the Nick Saban comment that he had on the Pat McAfee show saying, Vanderbilt is about the only place in the SEC where you go.
Victor, go the spoils.
Absolutely. I love it. Ohio Brad says Browns easily look like the worst team in the league right now. Deshaun Watson is on his backside more than... Well, I was going to say something to the effect of massages, but we'll just say he's on his backside a lot. And the best is the Tigers' third baseman blaming the loss on the Cleveland's ground crew. So that was McKinstry, and basically he came out and said that they watered the field before they took ground balls, but they didn't water it right before the game. And so that affected the clay, and it made him make an error.
They probably did it. It probably isn't what you want. It doesn't make you make an error.
And there's still, both teams have to play on that same field.
Yeah.
So that's just the way that the ball bounces or the way that the cookie crumbles. Jack Patterson says worst FSU losing, best Alabama losing. I mean, at some point, I'm all for the best.
I love it.
For Alabama losing. That's how it should be. But at some point, if you've got 5 losses on the year, maybe that's not the worst thing. That can't be the worst thing going on when you've seen it 5 times this year.
All I'm doing is throwing out statements here, but misery loves company.
Yeah, it does. It does. Adam Mullinax says, "Woo pig!" So
there you go.
Good for man. I didn't know I had so many Arkansas fans on the old timeline. Julie Hell says, "You know what the worst for us was?" Yes, I do.
Had to do a little welfare check there, I think, on Saturday night for Coach.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. I wasn't.
We were texting a little.
Yeah.
He and I are both pretty. We don't like watching Alabama games in groups.
Yeah.
And
me neither, because everyone just wants to talk. And it's like, hello.
And we don't text a lot, but I sent a couple of. I can't read them on the air, obviously, but we had a couple of thoughts on the game.
And I'm sure that he's giving us a couple more, too, by Monday here. And I'm sure that will continue on throughout the week. Caveman Rick says, worst, Phillies lost when they lost, I believe it was 6-2 in game 1. Yep. And then they bounced back last night, looking like they were going to lose the game for the majority of that game. Then Nick Castellanos stepped up big, huh?
It's a scrappy ball team. That's what I like. Look, I don't generally like the Phillies. I like this version of them better than most. I just think they're tough. And that's what I look for in the playoffs. This is a tough baseball team that never feels out of it. So.
Sherry says, and this is Sydney's mom, she says, Arkansas Razorbacks with a couple of hearts and some hog heads there. Brandon Wells says, best Vandy wins big. I didn't know when we started considering
Vandy big win.
Big win for Vandy.
They didn't win big.
Oh, man. And the thing I think that was most impressive about that is just how Bama kept on trying to fight back into the game, and Vanderbilt would close the door.
It reminded me, I can't remember what it was, maybe 20, I think it was 17. It was the year, because it was the year Alabama went to the championship game without winning the SEC West.
Yeah.
The game against Auburn that year, it's like every time they started to come back, something went wrong, and you could just feel it like it ain't going to be our day.
Yeah.
And I felt that way against this one, but the key. I did.
In the first half, you felt that?
Well, no.
Second half,
when they scored in the third quarter, I was kind of like,
All right.
Yeah. Well, I guess Bama got it to 23-21, and then when they scored to go 30, I was like, I don't think it's our day.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, what was most impressive is not that Vanderbilt beat Alabama. 40 points is no fluke.
Yeah.
Like, you could get a fluke win 20-17 or, 17-14 or whatever. 40 points, that's not a fluke.
And I think that's kind of one of the most fun parts about this, right? Is it's not just Alabama lost this game or crazy things happen. Some crazy things did happen, but that's got to happen in every football game, especially in an upset type setting there. But yeah, it's just Vanderbilt earned that, man.
Yeah, they won that football game. Bama did not play well, and they did things, but they didn't give that game away.
Yeah.
That Vandy still had to go do it, and they did.
Let me read Kyle Albritton's because I always accidentally skip over his. Best. Gators win like they should over the Mickey Mouse Commuter School. Little brother with loss number 5. Rocky Flop losing to Arkansas.
Oh, Kyle had a great weekend.
Yeah, he did. Vandy beating the Bammers. Orlando City winning 3-1.
There you go.
Gator women's soccer beating Texas 2-1. Another dominating win in fantasy to remain in first place. Being in first place in the ESPN NFL Pick'em. And then the worst, UF volleyball getting swept by Texas and Cal blowing another game against a Florida school. That would be pleasant to see them lose. Nick Muller says, best, some really entertaining football this weekend. And the worst, it's Monday.
Yeah.
Until Todd comes in, then it's Happy Monday.
Yeah, that's true.
Higher Lane Kiffin says Vandy beating Bama and Florida shutting little brother up, which is, I don't know which little brother he's talking about in this case. I would assume he's talking about UCF being that he's a Florida fan, even though Kyle Albritton is always
That's not even little brother. That's like third cousin twice removed.
Yeah. Oh, worst, Miami getting bailed out 2 weeks in a row.
So it's like Miami and the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it.
Exactly. That's exactly
Let me throw
what
this
it's like.
one out. My best, and because I ran to it when I was getting sick at the Alabama game, we're not going to do a big wrestling segment this week, but CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Hell in the Cell. If you watch wrestling at all, go back and watch this. It's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. It was phenomenal.
There you go, man. That was another one of those PLEs, premium live events.
Bad blood.
I am learning. We're also learning that it's time for us to take a break. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, we're going to talk some Ole Miss Rebels with Steve Barnes.
Your home for the NFL. ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's Monday Night Football with Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints versus Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Running inside the pylon. Touchdown, Kansas City.
Coverage starts at 6:30, kickoff at 7:15.
Left into the backfield, and he is stopped.
Right here on your home for the NFL and Monday Night Football. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Monday's weather. The remainder of the day, there will be a moderate breeze out of the northeast, sunshine and 85. Clear skies tonight, slightly cooler at 70 and a wind coming out of the northeast at 7 miles per hour. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a gentle breeze right around 11 miles per hour with a high of 85. Slightly cooler at 79 Wednesday, and we'll have some clouds. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards in Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Experience a higher level of service. For over 32 years, David Adamson Designer Jewelry has been providing you the very best of fine jewelry and repair in Lynn Haven. Now, David has added Amber Anderson and Russ Klinger to help you find the one-of-a-kind engagement ring, anniversary gift, or something just for you. You've trusted Amber and Russ in PCB for years, and now they're together again at David Adamson Designer Jewelry in Lynn Haven. To celebrate, they're now having their fall inventory reduction sale. 25 to 75% off store-wide. 830 Ohio Avenue in Lynn Haven, right across from the Lynn Haven City Hall.
WVLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn Haven. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're live and local. From Camp Helen State Park to the historic Martin Theater.
Definitely time to let our hair down and have some fun.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs live on ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 right here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. It's David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad, and we are the Afternoon Underdogs. Baseball still going live and strong here, watching the playoffs, and we've got a 0-0 tie heading into the Guardians half of the bottom of the 7th inning. Tariq Skubal looking good. We'll see if he comes back out for the 7th inning, but now we're going to go over to the phone line. We've got the senior writer for the RebelWalk.com, Steve Barnes, on the line with us. And Steve, let's start off as we normally do with your Monday segment, which would be the best and worst.
Believe it or not, I'm not going with Andy. I'm going with Connor Wakeman getting back on the field for Texas A&M and the way they just laid the lumber to number 9 Missouri. And Texas A&M, they do have to play at LSU, and then at the end of the year they have Texas. If they split those, they finish 10-2. You've got to put them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Worst started Saturday night when I started hearing some of these Alabama fans trying to get DeBoer fired already.
Yeah, you knew that was coming, though.
Yeah, but it's like, come on, the guy's coached 5 games here.
Yeah, that's
what a difference a week makes. I mean, look,
that's what's so wild about it.
Last Monday, everybody was like, we made the perfect hire. Stepped right in. He was the absolute right guy.
He
for
might
the
be
job.
better than Saban.
Yeah. And a week later, it's like, see, I told you he was no good. Crazy.
Well, it's just the nature of the beast, People just make those knee-jerk reactions, but I think the worst thing, but for the Boer was the way he let Malachi Moore overrule him and say, no, I'm staying in the game.
Yeah, Moore, look, I love his passion, and I think Alabama fans like seeing that because they don't necessarily see it, especially with guys now transferring because their 4th game is up and this, that, or the other. But it went off the rails, and he needs to bring it back in. I think he's apologized a little bit to it. But yeah, DeBoer and Womack, they both need to get a little bit of a clamp on that and kind of establish themselves because you don't want the inmates running the asylum.
Well, when he walked from his defensive backfield position to the line of scrimmage and as soon as the official marked the ball for play, he picked it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that happen one time in my life. It was an 8-year-old Little League game.
Are you surprised he didn't get ejected? I know that the game was pretty much over at that point in time, but
I guess, maybe the referee said, his coaches can't get him off the field. We're not going to get him off the field.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, big win, though, for the Ole Miss Rebels against South Carolina. What was some of your key takeaways from that game?
Something that nobody ever thought they'd hear me say. Ole Miss's defense won that game.
Mm-hmm.
That is a rarity to say that. They almost, kept Kentucky from the end zone, but Kentucky was able to dive on that fumble. They almost had a big stop at the end of that game. But yeah, so the defense, that's what stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, if you have 6 sacks and 10 tackles for loss, it's hard for an offense to score when they have 16 negative plays. That's 4 a quarter.
Yep.
And J.J. Pegues, they went to the Beamer ball early with a fake punt. Pegues, Nolan, Ivy, they all stayed in the game on the defensive line. They knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And J.J. just clogged up. He took up 3 blockers, and Pooh Paul was able to get around the corner and make that tackle. And from then on, it was on.
So now you got the revenge game coming up in not a revenge game for the Rebels, but a revenge game possibly for the LSU Tigers. It's going to be in Death Valley under the lights here. What do you need to see? What do we need to see from Ole Miss for them to win back-to-back games here against LSU?
One last thing about the South Carolina game. K.J. McGee's had the best offensive line score of anybody. 2 carries, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah, they found their short yardage back, don't you think, Steve?
Yeah. But unfortunately, Trey Harris got hurt in the first half, hurt his ankle. He didn't come back in the game at all. And at the presser today, Kiffin said if we were playing today, he could not go. It's going to hurt if you don't have Trey Harris down in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. This is going to be a weird game. I mean, the fact that LSU's coming off the week off should benefit them. I mean, you're going down to Baton Rouge. You got, the payback for last year, this, that, and the other. But I think what Ole Miss got to do is exactly what they did against South Carolina. Take advantage of your opportunities early and try and take that crowd out of the game early. Because
you have to be able to run the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely
the
right.
high-flying Kiffin offense threw the ball 1 time in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Against South Carolina?
Yep.
Yeah. In the fourth quarter, they threw the ball 1 time. Now, they were up, 24 points.
Yeah.
Right.
But still, a lot of people use the short passing game as your run game. Ole Miss said, no, let's actually run the ball.
Yeah.
Do you think that they'll be able to run the ball up against that LSU front?
Well, it depends on how banged up the offensive line still is. They didn't play without the left tackle last week. One of the centers went down with I think it's just a strain of the knee, but I don't think he came back in. But the word of the day next Saturday afternoon could be Toradol.
There you go. Could you spell that? Language of origin and all that good stuff?
It's like a injectable Motrin.
An injectable Motrin. There we go. I mean, I know what it was. Old Kurt Schilling, right? That's what he took in the ankle.
It works. I had to have them in my back, and I don't like needles at all. I don't have any tattoos. You don't have to worry about me doing heroin. I don't like needles. Every Monday afternoon, I went to my doctor. I was bent over that table waiting for that shot in the back.
Now, did Schilling take that shot before or after he put the fake blood on the sock?
Oh,
that's a disgruntled Yankees fan there.
I would say before and after. He got a double dosage of that one there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting though, Steve, because obviously Perkins out, is huge in this game, but early in the season, the thought was where you could get LSU was with the deep ball, is that they had a lot of trouble the back end of their secondary. Nowadays, I'm not so sure running the ball against LSU has gotten a lot easier without Perkins in the game. But like you said, if that offensive line's banged up, you like to say strength on strength. This may be weakness on weakness here. I'm kind of curious the way this thing's going to play out. But I'm sure Lane's I think he loves the fact that he didn't have to dial up any kind of big special plays. I'm sure he's got 1 or 2 in mind to go over the top on a team like LSU who's a little bit susceptible back there.
I think he's got Dart to get rid of the ball a little quicker.
Yeah.
But Dart loves to throw that deep ball. He threw one to Judd Watkins after Harris went down.
Right.
And, I think the defensive back is still looking for his athletic supporter about the 20-yard line. He just got faked out of it.
Yep.
Who does the loss hurt worse in this situation with both teams already having 1 loss? Is it Ole Miss or is it LSU?
I think it's Ole Miss. They still have to play Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, LSU still has Texas, I believe, right?
And Alabama.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, that's if DeBoer's still there, right?
I think he's still going to be there. Just going to be a sneaking suspicion, though.
Well, Perkins lost to Vandy and got 2 more years, so we'll see.
Well, Saban lost to Louisiana Monroe.
That's true. That is true.
Well, actually, I watched a little bit of their game on Saturday. The Warhawks, usually the doormats of the Sun Belt, they put it on James Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so James Madison lost?
Lost to ULM.
Whoa, I did not even see that because I guess there were so many other upsets going on across the world of college football. And let me ask you this, Steve. The SMU over Louisville, we've seen the offensive output for SMU start to trend upwards, but they took care of business against Louisville on the road. Is SMU a team that you think could rival
I'm still not sold on Clemson. I stayed up late and watched the Miami game. That thing ended at 3:30 in the morning Miami time. So you can understand those kids kind of dragging. But Cal, they have to come east this week, I think, to play somebody.
Well, they play Pitt, and Pitt's playing well.
Yeah, they have to come out. Yeah, they're ranked 22nd, I think.
Yeah.
They have to fly across country. See, this is what it feels like. And I'm not sure what time that game is.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, 2:30 Central. So an early game for them.
Yeah. And if that's one of those games, you might want to travel a day or two early so you can get acclimated to the time.
That's right.
It still doesn't make sense to me. Like for Cal is over there in California one week, and then the next week you're all the way back over here on the Atlantic coast. It's that's a lot of travel. We talked about that prior to the season. Was it UCLA or was it Cal where they were traveling like 21,000 miles or something this year?
I think it was the UCLA game. But the bad thing about those schools out there, okay, this is football. What's going to happen when you have to do it for volleyball?
Yeah.
Well, we talked about what they needed to do is get together and do kind of these shared trips and get multiple games going over a weekend where you can really, kind of pare that down.
That's what basketball and baseball
That's
is.
right.
I mean, basketball, they'll play Thursday and Saturday, and the women will play on Friday and Sunday.
Well, swimming's done it in the past where you bring 4 or 5 teams in over a weekend and you might have multiple dual meets and different things like that. You could do that, with volleyball. Let's say you get 4 teams to go to the University of Texas and, 2 teams, you have 2 sets of games on Friday, 2 sets of games on Saturday, 2 sets of games on Sunday. Everybody's played each other and you've knocked out 3 different series there at once. I mean, some sports you can get away with playing day after day more than others, but...
One year I was at Troy. Our illustrious leader got us in something called the East Coast Conference at Central Connecticut State, Chicago State, Northeastern Illinois, Hofstra on Long Island.
Gracious.
And the only play we could have a softball and baseball tournament for the conference, we had to play on spring break.
Yeah.
So we played it in March. And Troy won easily both of them because, I think that first game they were playing Central Connecticut, Troy was like 22-4 or 22-5. Central Connecticut was 1-2.
Yeah.
But we got it all in. So then afterwards, it was like, okay, we don't have to see them again.
What are we thinking about Ohio State right now, Steve? You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got Steve Barnes on the line with us. He's the senior writer for therebelwalk.com. Make sure you go check out that content. They've got a lot of great content providers on there as well. Ohio State, though, do you think that I know that they're ranked number 2, but are they getting overlooked to some extent?
They just hadn't had any exciting games.
Yeah.
I mean, on the college football final the other day, I think they were the 7th game that they highlighted. Of course, the first one they highlighted was, of course, Vandy, and that took 15 minutes of block time. But I just, we'll find out Saturday when they go to Oregon.
What's your?
That's a national TV game.
Yeah, it is 6:30 at night too. We would be airing that game, but we have LSU and Ole Miss. We're going to have that game on instead. Ohio State, Oregon, though, which way are you leaning? Do you think that's Ohio State? Do you think Oregon has kind of gotten it going after a slow start to this year? And I don't think a lot of people really had their eyes on Boise State being as good as what they are. Just a 3-point win over the Broncos for the Oregon Ducks. But do you think Oregon, who's got the upper hand in the Ohio State-Oregon game, according to Steve Barnes?
Talent-wise, I would go with Ohio State easily, but they have to go to Allison Stadium. And Dylan Gabriel seems like he's figuring it out finally. It took him a couple, he is at Central Florida, then he's at Oklahoma, now he's at Oregon. He's learning his 3rd offense in 3 years.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know if the offensive coordinator kind of simplified things for him, or he said, okay, this is what we do, you have to learn it. But he started to get, his wings under him up against, the Ducks. But I think, talent-wise, I think Ohio State's going to outlast them.
You got any thoughts on that game, Brian, yet?
No, I always crutch onto the fact that East Coast teams seem to struggle worse going west than West Coast teams do coming east. And, this being a night game, I would think Ohio State matches up really well with Oregon, honestly. But, you're talking about a night game out west, tough travel, tough environment. This really, and Oregon has had Ohio State's number recently. This is an interesting football game here. I think a lot of it's going to be how well Ohio State's offensive line can protect Howard. If Howard has some time to get settled into the big game mentality, he'll be fine. But if he's running for his life early, this one will be interesting because Oregon will get their, 21, 24 points for sure. But they just need Howard to be able to settle in and not turn the football over.
The networks have stacked a lot of good night games right against each other this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of huge consequential games this week. There really are, and you're right. They did a lot of them at night.
Vandy goes to Kentucky and plays at night.
Yeah. You got Florida at Tennessee at night, Ohio State, Oregon at night, Ole Miss, LSU at night. K-State, Colorado actually could have some implications. And then in the afternoon, there's a game that no one's probably going to be looking at, but it has a lot of playoff implications.
Which
I think
one?
Down the line, Arizona, BYU.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, man.
That's a tough out for BYU. Arizona's got some weapons.
Arizona's got, I would say, the best wide receiver in the game. Boise State's got the best running back. I would say Arizona's got the best running back, and what's his name, Favita, the quarterback. They've been playing together since middle school ball.
There's some big football games. Penn State at USC is going to be a tough one for Penn State. That's a tough West Coast trip too. Well,
so you have one team from out west going to Pennsylvania, and then the other team from Pennsylvania going out west.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we didn't even talk about the Red River shootout.
Yeah, Oklahoma, Texas, the first SEC edition.
Game.
Yeah.
That's a 2:30 game at least.
That's correct. Is
it 2:30?
It is. Yeah, because ABC's got it. No more big noon kickoff on that one. This one's a 2:30 ABC game.
What are you thinking about that one, Steve?
Ewers is going to be back, I believe. So I'd go with Texas.
Which way are you leaning? I think I gotta lean Texas too.
You would have to lean Texas, but there is something in that game. Texas cannot get Oklahoma out of their head when the game comes around. Now, Arnold's out still, right, for Oklahoma? They're going with the other kid. I can't remember, but
Hawkins Jr., I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time in this looking past the fact that Oklahoma just seems to have Texas's number, and Venables seems very calm and confident coaching against Texas when he doesn't seem to any other time. I don't know. It's a weird one, but I'm going to lean Texas because I think this may end up being a special year for them, but I don't know. It would not shock me at all if Oklahoma won this game. It's just one of those football games.
It's a rivalry game.
That's right.
Throw the records out, as they say.
That's right.
Well, I guess that Vanderbilt's going to become a lot of people's rivals now. It's like, wait a second. You realize Vanderbilt's lost 2 games this year by a total of 7 points?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they're not bad.
Right. Georgia State, I guess maybe they were just overlooking, and Vanderbilt's on the road for that game, and then Missouri.
You know how these things go. If you're Georgia State, are you playing the game? Are you going, we beat Vandy beat Alabama, Alabama beat Georgia, so we're Georgia State champions? Yeah. Are they playing that game yet?
Do you think so, Steve?
I saw one year. This was back in the 80s where Troy had upset somebody who upset Missouri, who upset so-and-so, who upset so-and-so, who upset so-and-so, who won the national championship.
Yeah.
So Troy should get it.
I love those things. They crack me up.
Man, that takes some investigation to put those things together.
Yeah.
Give me a score. Oh, go ahead.
Well, all I was going to say is, obviously, a lot of the talk that's going on right now that's interesting is Army and Navy are both undefeated, which is amazing. It actually sets up an incredible scenario where they could end up, they could end up meeting for their conference title the week before the normal Army-Navy game.
So they'd play twice?
Yeah, they could play twice in back-to-back weeks, and they could end up knocking each other out of the play. I overheard this. It was something weird. Am I reading this wrong, Steve?
I was thinking about it. I was watching Navy Air Force last week just to see how good Navy is. Navy is good. This is not your daddy's triple option team.
Right.
They can throw it. And, good thing about Air Force, since I'm a veteran, they wore special jerseys, and on the back of the nameplate it said AFSOC. That's Air Force Special Operations Command. That's Hurlburt Field.
Yeah.
And that's where I was stationed. I was in the 1st Special Operations Wing because of what command that. And I thought, man, that's a really good look. Too bad the team doesn't look good.
Yeah, that
Army
whole
just
mantra.
crushed Temple.
Yeah.
Look good, play good. That whole mantra just not working out this year. Which game do you think would be more? Would there be more pageantry behind? Right, like the traditional week. Say they played in back-to-back weeks. Do they treat that conference championship like as special as what the traditional Army Navy game is?
I'm wondering if they have to play it at somebody's campus or they can play it in a neutral field.
Yeah, that I don't know.
They never travel to the campus.
Yeah, I just had this kind of come up today, and I was reading about it, and so I'm not real sure on the whole thing. But along those lines, if you had to pick today, who's getting that kind of extra spot? If you had to pick today, who do you think gets that G5 spot?
Well, Boise's playing really, really good. They're just under the radar.
Yeah.
I told y'all Texas State was looking good. They came into Troy and just stomped them. I would love to see one of the service academies do it. I would just love it.
It'd be neat, and it'd be scary for whoever's number 1 seed having to play one of those kind of, run-oriented option type teams because you don't really see a lot of that.
I heard a great line Saturday. I forgot who said it. It says, there's 3 times you don't want to play an option team. Your first game, your last game, or any game in between.
There you go. Well, Steve, I hate to do it, man. We're up against the end of this break. Thanks so much for your time, and we look forward to chatting again with you next Monday on the heels of the Ole Miss LSU game.
All right, y'all be safe.
Hey,
Thanks,
you do
man.
the same. Steve Barnes, he's the senior writer for therebelwalk.com. We're going to take a quick timeout, and then it's time for the takeover, the PCB Hobby Takeover.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for college football and the Auburn Tigers.
He dives! He's in! Touchdown Auburn!
We heard you, Tiger fans. So this season, we're airing every single game. And you can take that to the bank.
It's picked off in the end zone!
Plus, the biggest games in the SEC and around the country play here on your official station for college football, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. Clear tonight with a light breeze coming out of the northeast at 6 miles per hour and temps near 70. Tomorrow morning we will have sunshine and a wind speed of 9 miles per hour and be quite warm at 80. Mostly sunny in the afternoon and evening and a high 85 with a moderate breeze. Some clouds Wednesday with a temp of 79. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Dak Cajun Place is your LSU and Saints football headquarters. Saints and LSU fans, wear your team colors and score a free Jell-O shot when your team scores a touchdown. Only at Dak Cajun Place. Get $5 pitchers on select draft beers during all live football games. Catch all the games at once with the NFL package on 27 large TVs at Dak Cajun Place. And the best wings on the beach. The locals' favorite, Dak Cajun Place.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
From Tyndall Air Force Base to the Hathaway Bridge, we're live and local. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back in the doghouse. You're riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3, Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad, and this is one of our favorite segments each and every week, the PCB Hobby Takeover with Bill and Todd. What's going on, y'all?
What's up? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
I was going to say, Julia looks a little different this week.
You better watch your dirty mouth.
The red, I washed the red. I just dyed
there
the red
we go.
hair
There
out,
we
so-
go. There we go.
That's funny. How's everybody doing today?
Oh, I'm doing phenomenal.
Excellent. Awesome. We are rocking and rolling as usual. We got so much going on. It's where to start on every segment. It seems like it's crazy, but we got a lot of stuff. What's that?
That was just
little
the
bleed
network
over.
just going over. So
I'm pretty sure I heard a humana.
it's at Westwood One Sports.
Yeah, exactly. Bill has an update on what's going on at the shop, and then I will talk about some updates of specifically some different places that we're going this coming weekend and in the next couple weeks. So I'm going to send it over to Bill, and he can update us about how. And I know one thing we did have was Kids Trade Day.
Yeah, Kids Trade Day. Kids Trade Day went pretty decent. It was a pretty good day. So we're really been pushing heavily on the trading card game side of stuff, and we did really well. And so we're starting to really kind of get some traction with the kids on coins and currency, and we're really looking forward to them coming out. So first Saturday every month. Kids Trade Day at the shop, just in case you don't know. It's on our calendar. If you go to our website, pcbhobby.com, it's on our website. There's a calendar of events. You can click on there and you can see which day it is actually each month. But it's consistent on Saturdays from like 3 to 5. And you come in and basically have activities for the kids. We do things that are focused for younger folks, somewhere between probably 7, 8 years old to teenagers. And we're trying to find stuff to help them to kind of embrace the collecting side of stuff a little bit more. And so we've been the last 2 times we've been pretty heavily focused on our trading cards game, specifically Pokemon. But we have plans on including coins and currency, sports cards, and so we're working on. So the next couple of months you'll see kind of a different change of that, and Kids Trade Day is going to look a lot different. It's going to be something for everybody at the shop. Comic books, coins and currency, sports cards, and trading card games will all be included. So it'll be a good time. It's fun for the parents. There's plenty of room there for everybody. We can comfortably seat about 70 people in the shop now. So it's plenty of stuff there. So.
All right, so basically that's been a really good success for us, and we've been very excited about that. We also have some products that are going to be coming out. We got a lot of Topps products coming out. I believe Bill has some information on that stuff too.
Yeah, it's a big release. October is going to be a big release month. There's a lot of stuff going on, and not to trigger anybody on storm stuff, but. Because of the impending weather, which we did not receive, but we could have received, we reached out to our partners at Topps, and we actually held back some of our shipments. And so they were concerned, and they were happy to hold that stuff for us just to make sure that it made it here safe and that we didn't have any issues with the storm or flooding or weather. And so a lot of the products that have already dropped at some of the other shops are starting to come to us now this week. And so we're going to see like Sterling Baseball, Bowman Sterling Baseball. Our Cosmic is coming in. That's a release coming up this week. So Wednesday, Sterling Baseball comes out. That's a big drop. That's going to be a big product. Cosmic Chrome Baseball drops. I think it's on Friday.
Correct.
And then next week, coming up just to kind of preview drop some stuff is the big Topps update. So 2024 Topps update next week. Big release.
Paul Skeens.
That's right.
And then, of course, stuff that we didn't get that we should have gotten already. There's 5-star stuff coming in. We got some Bowman Chrome Megas that are coming in. And a really exciting product I was waiting to see is coming this week. It's going to be a little bit later than it was supposed to be for us again because of the hold, but Topps Knockout UFC.
Yes.
It's supposed to be a massive product. I'm really super excited to see those and break some, probably myself. I might break a few of those myself.
Oh, my gosh. Between you and Brian, we're not going to have any left. Oh, my gosh.
Tapping that vein, Bill.
Yeah. That's what's coming down the pipe. So, again, November is going to be a big month. I know Brian likes the coming down towards the end of the month. Allen Ginter, I know that's one of the ones.
That's a fun product.
Yeah, that's a fun
absolutely
product.
Is.
So there's a lot of stuff. Stadium Clubs coming the beginning of November. So we got a lot of stuff coming. This is going to be a really rapid release.
And it's interesting how much stuff is coming out because one of the shows that we have coming up, we have 2 shows coming up. We're going to Nashville this weekend, so we'll be at the Nashville Card Show. But the big dog, the Fanatics Fest Orlando, it's version 2. So they had it in NYCC in New York. And now they're going to have one in Orlando. And so we are going to be at the Orlando one as well. That's, I believe it's November 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So we are also going to be selling tickets to it. So if you're going to go to Fanatics Fest, and you got to get a ticket, swing by the shop, scan our QR code, and buy your ticket that way. We get noticed for that type of stuff. It helps us as a business, and it helps us with Fanatics. So please do that if you are going to go. Don't hesitate. Come buy your ticket through us.
And it'll be on PCB Hobby's social media, all of our social media sites.
Right.
So we're PCB Hobby all together, no spaces, on every platform, everything, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. So put us on there. You'll see the QR code. Make sure you order tickets because it does benefit the local shop. So we'll get things. There's a bit of a competition going on at Tops for people to recruit people to get tickets. You're still going to order your tickets through Fanatics. It still comes through the normal Fanatics website and goes through. You do the normal secures payment process and stuff with them. But we get the credits on the back end for you buying the ticket coming through the shop. So that's a big thing for us.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So anyway, we have those two shows coming up. What we also have coming up is actually NYCC, which is New York Comic Con. New York Comic Con is next week, guys, next week. We will be traveling up there. The whole team is going, and we will be there. I believe the show is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep. Is that at Javits as well?
And that's at the Javits Center. Yeah, we were just there, a month and a half ago for the sports card show.
Great venue.
Great venue. So we're really excited about that. Can't wait to go up there and have a a good time.
I expect some Two Brothers pizza to be brought back.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, there was a Two Brothers, well, you were there. Remember, Two Brothers pizza was just like a quarter of a block. Literally, if that. And we literally ate pizza every day there. So if you ever get a chance to have real New York pizza, I get it. There's places around here saying, we got New York pizza. I'm sure you do, but you don't have the crust.
I'm sure you do.
Like, you don't have the crust.
The water.
It's the water. I'm telling you.
The hot dog water?
Yes.
It's the hot dog water.
There you go.
That is it. Wow. So anyways, so we're super excited about that. So we got lots of really cool stuff coming up as far as shows and cons and different things. I also wanted to tell everybody that we will be dropping brand new exclusive comic books, exclusive to PCB Hobby at New York Comic Con, which also means we will have some of that probably at the shop when we get back, along with some other exclusives, and our exclusives will be on our eBay Live. So if you're interested in getting one of our very first PCB Hobby exclusives for comic books, let us know. We will make sure you get your copy.
Yeah, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 1. We're going to do a Hulk 340 homage cover. We also have a Do You Poo book, which is going to be it's an homage to the alien.
I do,
we
all do, and it's actually
not that kind of poo. It's like Winnie the Pooh.
It's Winnie the Pooh. Keep it clean, David.
Come on. It's an homage cover for Alien Romulus, so it's got Pooh and Tigger. Tigger's basically the alien, Pooh is the Pooh, and he's getting attacked on the face with the face hugger. It's a great cover. And then our third book that we have is actually one I'm really excited about, and it is a reboot that Dynamite is doing for Terminator. So it's the Terminator issue number 1.
Yeah,
very cool.
And it's awesome.
We had Dave Dorman do it. Dave is an OG Star Wars G.I. Joe guy.
Magic the Gathering.
Worked for Hasbro for 10, 12 years doing concept. Dave is a master when it comes to that type of stuff, and his cover is just amazing. So we have really 3 really great covers that will be dropping. And again, Todd said it's going to be at the shop. We'll have them on eBay Live. And of course, if you happen to go to New York, we'll be at the booth, and we'll have them there at the booth too. So
yeah, absolutely. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, because that's exclusive to PCB. You can't get that anywhere else. And now you're going to have 3 different awesome covers.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out which one of those 3 is my favorite.
Yeah, they're going to be awesome. We'll show everybody on social media and all that type of stuff. So it's going to be really cool. So definitely hit us up on that. So I just wanted to tell everybody about that exciting thing.
Well, and it would get lost in all of this, but with everything going on, we didn't even mention it's Super Saturday this Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Super Saturday's
good
coming
gracious.
up.
With all the new product coming out and all like that.
You got to take advantage of the new
Great deals on wax. Get to spin the wheel.
10% off of every steel product. So you come to the shop on Super Saturday. It's the second Saturday, right? Second Saturday of the month. Second Saturday of every month, and you come to the shop, and anything that's steel product on the wall, 10% off. Period. You don't have to ask for it. It's automatically 10% off.
There you go.
You spend over $75 on combined stuff on steel product, and you get to spin the wheel for a bonus. And it varies from month to month, but $50, $75 usually on store credit. That's on there as an option. You might win a pack of something free, or you might win $50, $60, $70.
You're getting something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And if you already spent $75, you can win another $50, $60 on top of that. So it's a great time.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yep, awesome. All right, does anybody have any questions for us today? What do you guys want to get into?
I think David had one or two.
Here we go.
Us. What do you got, Dave?
Well, I've got a couple of directions that I guess we could go to. One, I think it would be fun to hear all of y'all talk about like Jaden Daniels' stock right now, because he seems to be a very hot commodity, and we always talk about quarterbacks, and especially when they're rookie quarterbacks.
He's through the roof for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's outplaying all the other rookie quarterbacks. Number two, he's a quarterback. That probably should have been number one. But there's also the market factors. He doesn't have a lot out there. He was not in Bowman U.
Right.
One of the very few guys. So he has very few things that are out there. And he's a Fanatics exclusive guy.
Yep.
So he doesn't have any autographs out just yet in terms of that with Panini products, but he does have numbered cards. He does have patch cards coming like that. He's the guy we're getting asked about the most in the shop, certainly, because he's exciting and the Commanders are winning football games.
He is 2024 Brock Purdy.
That's right.
When it comes to sports card
that's 100% right in that you have the market factors as well that Brock Purdy didn't have. Now, Purdy was drafted 190-something spots later.
But no one was really thought about from this quarterback class outside of Caleb Williams, so I could see how that kind of gets lost. And I have been on the side of Jaden Daniels.
Did I hear it right that the Vikings are 5-0 as well?
They are.
Senor.
Wow.
That's another interesting thing in the hobby is that 2018 card base, the quarterback class has been oft overlooked other than Josh Allen. Well, Lamar's in that class. Baker Mayfield, who's playing well, is in that class. And Sam Darnold is helping push that class that everybody had thrown his stuff away 2 years ago. Now 2018 is becoming a big class again. So it's
pretty
it never
neat to
ends.
see.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up one thing. I can't compute that Alabama lost.
Me neither. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
I didn't get to watch it. I happened to be streaming that evening or that day.
You were fortunate.
But I apparently I was fortunate. When I checked the scores last night, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I got to be honest.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. Did Alabama lose?
Yeah.
I must have missed that somewhere.
Thank God Georgia's loss was to Alabama. Anyway.
All the Georgia revelry that's going on at our house, I must have missed that.
Anyways, you can see what side he's on.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, and I'm not salty, yes. Anyways. So I had to bring that up as well.
Yeah.
At least they didn't lose to somebody like Vanderbilt. That would have been just terrible, right?
To be fair, that was embarrassing. That was straight up embarrassing. Anyways, what else you got for me,
I got a buy-sell trade for you specifically, Todd. A Heritage Rattler trade dollar, 1874 SMS62.
Okay. That is a hold.
I just feel like I just said a whole bunch of jargon.
That is a hold.
I didn't understand what language we just started talking.
So first of all, it's a coin. Number two, it's a trade dollar. What we did is we produced trade dollars in the 1870s. Okay. 1874, I believe, to 1878, and then they made some proof ones after that, but we don't really consider those as part of the circulated ones. What the U.S. government was doing was it was for trade with China. And so what they did is they shipped a bunch of them over to China to pay for things. And that's how they paid, was in silver dollars, but they were called trade dollars. And they had a specific design on them. So what the Chinese would do is when they would get them out in the economy, they would actually stamp them with Chinese marks to check that they were real silver, that they weren't fake. Right? And so a lot of them got chop marked, is what they call it. It's called a chop mark. Anyways, that specific coin that you're talking about is made in San Francisco, and it was graded by PCGS in the old first original holders that they did, which is why they call it a rattler. So a rattler holder is what's called an OGH or old green holder, but the coin actually rattles inside of it because their holders weren't that great back then. Yeah. And so you can hear it go click, 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 click when you move it. Anyways, that coin, MS61, you said, or two? Two. Mint state 62. So in the scale of 70, 60 is mint state, which means it's never been touched, uncirculated, which means that coin never went to China. Okay. That coin got saved by somebody and got graded. I would hold that coin all day long. That's the exact type of coin that I would put in my personal collection. So it's a buy and a hold. Buy it up and hold it. Don't ever get rid of it. That's the thing that'll get you 10 to 12% return on your investment year after year after year.
Wow. I just love, like, from memory. You did all of it.
Yeah.
Like, I bring up.
When you said Rattler, I was thinking Spencer Rattler has a coin?
Yeah.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
Anyway, so yeah, that's a great
is
coin.
Cool.
That's a fire coin right there. I would love to have something like that in my collection.
Well, you hear that, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got one of those, take it on down to PCB Hobby, and Todd will do some working with you.
Todd will buy it and hold it.
It will be a hold.
Hold it. And then you're missing out on the investment. Caitlin Clark, though, how about her, man? Is she driving up WNBA card awareness around here?
It's not even WNBA. So she did, I think she did a 60 Minutes the other day segment with them. And she's all around the athlete, the one that, you look up to. My only hope is that she doesn't do anything stupid in her lifetime, and that she becomes one of the greatest of all times. And it actually is a woman that becomes the greatest of all times. That I think will obviously help the sports arena and everything that it has to do with, because it's important to have diverse and diversification. I think that she has the ability to be that person. And I just hope that everything, goes well with it. I don't wish her bad or that anything goes wrong. I'm just saying, I hope she can keep it clean.
To your point, I was reading the story today. She's going to be in the Pro-Am at the Annika, the LPGA event. That's huge for them. But I was really hoping this card, she had the Autograph 101, the Panini Instant, whatever it was, that just went for $97,000. I was really hoping it would get to six figures. I think that's a benchmark there.
I agree.
And that would have been neat. But she does have a couple of, we talked about a busy month. We got 2 WNBA products coming out in the next couple of weeks. We're actually, I think, getting both. Yeah. But that's, I shake my head at Panini all the time on this show.
Yeah.
Boy, did they miss the ball.
Uh-huh.
Get one product out during the season while she's still playing.
Right.
People have been asking us for months about WNBA cards
and don't
never ever known about.
And don't sleep on it. This is one of those where you don't sleep on it. We like to talk about, like,
they're going quick.
2024 Topps Update is a perfect thing. That's the true rookie card of Mike Trout.
The 2011 one.
The 2011 one. You do not miss out on the update series. The update series is the one that usually has that guy that ends up being, and it may not be Paul Skeens, but it could be somebody else.
That's true. Series 1 is always going to be your known rookies, the one that they know. Mm-hmm. Series 2, they don't like to stick the guys who are popping off in spring training, or the guys who are coming up.
Or they hold guys.
They don't like to put them in Series 2 that much. Right. They push them to an update, and everybody knows update is the hit. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, I hope people don't sleep on Caitlin Clark for sure. I think that it's one of those that's going to be something for a very long time.
All right. Well, we're kind of wrapping up the segment. Bill, you want to hit us with another rundown real quick?
This weekend coming up is going to be our Super Saturday. That's probably the most important thing. Number one, just come out Super Saturday, 10% off everything. Spend $75 on Seal products. Spin the wheel, win some extra great prizes. Look for our social media for the ticket QR code that we're going to put out for the Orlando. It's November 1st through the 3rd. It's only in Orlando, Florida. It is close by. If you want to go to a big major card show, this is going to be the one. This is going to be, Fanatics just does a top tier type thing. You can get the tickets right from PCB Hobbies social media. And again, you're helping out the local shop when you do it. It's kind of like giving us points towards Fanatics. But you pay through them, and it's easy breezy, and it's secure payment through Fanatics.
Bill and Todd, thank you guys so much for joining us here for the PCB Hobby Takeover. Y'all go check out PCB Hobby. Obviously, you can do it on all of the social media handles. Just typing in PCB Hobby, but go check out the physical location, man. One of the best stores in this area, bar none. That is Bill and Todd with PCB Hobby. We're the Afternoon Underdogs, and we're going to give you a little Major League Baseball playoff update when we get back.
Evolution in Sports Talk Radio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs. The only live afternoon show in Panama City where you can win fantastic prizes from amazing local businesses every day.
That's right.
4 to 6 weekdays. The Afternoon Underdogs.
It's mayhem.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
It's the Golden Harvest Collection, only at Krispy Kreme. Let's begin with the maple buttercream, then the oatmeal cream pie, followed by the salted caramel cheesecake, yum, and last, my favorite, the spice apple-filled donut. It's the Golden Harvest Collection, available now at Krispy Kreme, with 2 locations in front of HCA Hospital, 23rd Street, Panama City, and the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan. Krispy Kreme donuts since 1937, where you get them hot.
God, guns, and wrestling. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
I actually know this song.
Here we go, then.
You can tell with the little cymbals there. That's Alex.
You want to sing it?
It's a little Van Halen.
Yeah, it is.
I could probably sing I'll Wait.
All right.
No, not like Diamond Dave, though. I can't blaspheme on the show. Great tune, though.
Oh, man. Always fun having Bill and Todd in the building with us. We don't always get Bill. We get Todd whenever we can. A lot of fun though having those guys on. Super Saturday though, that's a big event for PCB Hobby. Tell the people again why they should go check it out.
I mean, look, it's just ripping open packs and things. We talk about how fun it is all the time. So anytime you get a discount on that, it's great. But it's such a communal thing. You know, when somebody starts opening a box, everybody kind of looks to check out because everybody wants to see a big card hit. And like I said, it's very communal in that everybody's pulling for you. You know, it's not like when you're Alabama playing football and everyone's pulling against you. But the wheel, I mean, you just have a chance for extra fun stuff. We have the games going on the TVs while it's going on. Now, I personally won't be there this Saturday because I'll be at the Nashville Card Show, but we'll be packed out and just have a lot of fun ripping. Like Bill said, we got all those products that are coming in now, let alone the new products this week. There's going to be a lot of new stuff to rip, so it's going to really line up well and be a great weekend.
Yep, and I loved y'all's answers on Jaden Daniels, too. Just what he's doing on the field is so impressive, and you know that the correlation with that is very high with how his value continues to skyrocket from what we're hearing from you guys, so that's a lot of fun.
Just his play would take him up, but the market factors are what take it into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Brock Purdy. Last year, a little bit with Isaiah Pacheco, same kind of thing. They just didn't have a lot of cards. Well, this really has more to do with now they're getting cards in college. Well, Jaden Daniels did not have anything Bowman. Last year, Jalen Milroe didn't have anything Bowman. Very similar kind of thing going on with him, even though he's still in college right now. So yeah, it's when you get the perfect storm of all of those factors together, that's when you can really see something special.
Catch up on a couple of texts here. According to ESPN this morning, it's 3 miles from Vanderbilt campus to the river.
I told you it was a hike.
Yeah, that is a hike, especially with golf.
Let me tell you something.
But it's with you and all your friends. So.
No, but you have to understand, this is one of the most traveled roads in the world on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Without Vanderbilt.
West End is Broadway.
Yeah.
We're talking about they walk down Broadway.
Yeah.
Basically, once you cross over the interstate, I think, I can't remember, right before the interstate, right over the interstate. It's Broadway. And it literally goes right from the stadium, to the river. And that's where the goalpost went.
That is where they did. And the Detroit Tigers have a 3-0 lead going into the bottom of the ninth after a 3-run shot hit off of Emmanuel Clase, which doesn't tend to happen very often, at least him blowing saves. And now the Indians, the Guardians, are in the batter's box here for the bottom of the ninth.
Carpenter came out as a pinch hitter to get it.
Wow, that was a pinch hit home run top of that. Yeah. How about that? Stephen D'Anjos saying the worst was Bama losing, which is the first that we've gotten from that, right? that being the worst. Most everyone else was calling it their best. But he says his best was his fantasy football team this week.
Well, real quick, he came in as a pinch hitter in the 8th, came back around in the 9th, and that's how he got it. So it wasn't his first at-bat, but still.
One down here in the 9th now for the Tigers as they look to even up this series. And then Royals and Yankees will be later on this evening. But tonight we're going to have a dose of Monday Night Football for you between the Saints and the Chiefs in Kansas City. Kansas City, a 5.5-point favorite. What do you like from this game tonight, Brian?
Well, we all know the Chiefs get protected, right?
Yeah.
Where's Miles with
Red
the hashtag NFL rigged? No, look, the Saints, I don't know, maybe a little bit of kind of their aura has left just a little bit. I mean, what they did to start the season was incredible.
Yeah.
They're still a good football team. Look, it's better that you make the trip to Kansas City now instead of like in the middle of November.
Yeah.
If you're a dome team, but I like Kansas City. I'll say I don't think they actually cover tonight. I think this has 3 to 4 point win written all over it. I'm sure the Boo Birds will be out again, that they get some call that benefits them again. But yeah, I think you have to like Kansas City to win at home.
I think that's the overwhelming factor for me, is the fact that they are at the house. And then you've got New Orleans, who for the first 2 games looked like to be the class of the NFL. Where's this offense? Where's this defense? And then it's kind of evened out a little bit. They did have a good game against the Falcons. They gave up the ghost against the Eagles, really, because they were winning that game for the entirety of the ball game. And just, late in the fourth, weren't able to put a stop together. And kind of the same, they were in position to win that game against the Falcons. So we could be talking about a 4-0 New Orleans Saints team here, but now we're talking about 2-2. And again, would I be surprised if the Chiefs lose? No, I wouldn't be surprised. I just think that the Chiefs are going to be the better football team this evening. The interesting thing is going to be, all right, Rashee Rice is gone. Now you've known it for an entire week. Is Travis Kelce the guy stepping up? Is it Xavier?
I sure hope so, because he's on my fantasy team. By the way, Fry strikes out looking. Detroit wins game 2.
Well, there you go, man. So that is a final, and now you've got one of those AL divisional round series tied at 1.
I would think Kelce. Worthy's obviously going to stretch the defense. I don't know who their next receiver would be, who might get some underneath looks with Worthy stretching them out, and you would expect the Saints to key on Kelce.
Yeah.
So I don't have their roster in front of me to know, but whoever, maybe who would have fit that Valdez-Scantling kind of, or Kadarius Toney kind of role a year ago, whoever fills that role may end up having a big game here as they key in on Kelce, and you've got to, follow Worthy deep. It's going to obviously open up some space there in the middle of the field for the, 12, 15-yard dunk there.
Are you surprised that Mahomes has thrown only 6 touchdowns, but 5 interceptions to go along with those touchdowns? Anything surprising about that to you?
He doesn't look sharp, but I don't think it's that out of realm for him to maybe start a little slow. Like, it's not Joe Burrow slow and the Bengals.
Right.
But he doesn't really catch fire until maybe the last third of the season, it seems like, every year. So, I mean, he's had a few years early in his career, he got off to a hot start, but I don't know. He just seems a little, but he doesn't seem like, flustered at all by it. He's just kind of measured, and it's been more interesting to me. They have not been able to get Kelce very involved in the offense this year. That's been a little surprising to me.
All right, so I didn't know if they had got Juju Smith-Schuster or not. So they've got Xavier
that
Worthy,
makes sense. Okay.
Justin Watson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Sky Moore.
So I would say, Sky Moore's a good receiver too. He didn't have a great offseason, but or lead up into the season. But Smith-Schuster could very well have a big game here. I mean, really could.
Yeah. Man, we'll have to see who it is this evening. And that's one of the things about having a great quarterback like Patrick Mahomes is he can take those wide receivers who may not have worked out at other places and they might have a lot of drops like Valdez-Scantling did and the rest of the Chiefs crew did last year, but he can still work some magic with them. I think that we see another big night from Travis Kelce. Yesterday I had a little parlay with Derrick Henry, first time touchdown, anytime touchdown, and then 82.5 rushing yards.
How about that run in overtime?
Without that, I don't hit that bet.
That was unbelievable.
I don't hit that bet without that.
That looked like 24-year-old Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it really did.
It was phenomenal.
Michigan Eddie, you've got 2 minutes before we got to get off the line. What do you got for us, brother?
We're taking it back to Detroit. Detroit Rock City. Comerica Park, baby. Never give up on the Tigers. Never say never. Kerry Carpenter, Turk Screwball, they are on a mission from God. Divine intervention.
Hey, Eddie.
Only way you can reason it.
Eddie, real quick. Alabama just lost to Vanderbilt for the first time since 1984. What else happened in 1984?
Tigers won the World Series with Gibby Trapp, Sweet Lou, Jack Morris, Dan Petrie, Milt Wilcox, Rosema, Chet Lemon, Larry Hearn, and Dave Bergman. All those guys. Sparky Anderson, baby. What say you? I was 9 years old, and I just picked up my cards today, and I am a happy, happy man.
There you go.
Good grading.
Yeah, you had a good return. He had some screwball cards actually that came back really well. A good time to get them.
These days, someone says card and you
Riley as well. That's right. No, I like your Tigers to advance certainly through to the ALCS, and maybe they may. I mean, this might be the year. This is a hot team.
I tell you, it's like the Giants when they barely squeaked in football, beat the undefeated Patriots and all that, and you never say, hey, all you got to do is like fantasy football. All you got to do is make it to the playoffs. Anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? And it's magic. It's September, October baseball. Every pitch counts. It's October, bro. I mean, and Detroit is going to be live at Copa, bro. I wish I was there for that one.
Yeah,
I'm excited, bro. Just picked up Eddie from baseball. I'm excited now. I couldn't watch the game. I was listening to the music. I was going nuts. I had to pick up some pine straw, go to Home Depot, go to the hobby, and now I'm on Red Bull.
on Red Bull. Well, Michigan Eddie, we got to get some wings of our own and fly on out of here. Thank you so much for the call. As always, it's great to hear your energy, my man.
Go Tigers, baby! Yes!
Yes, Michigan Eddie, his Detroit Tigers just went up 3-0, or won 3-0 to tie the series at 1. So we've got a good series there. Let's see if the Royals can even it up with the Yankees. Give me a score prediction, Royals-Yanks.
Let's see. Give me 5-2 Yanks tonight.
All right, then. You heard it here first. Chiefs-Saints, give me a score on that one.
I don't have a score, but I'm going to take Saints in the under tonight. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game tonight.
All right. I think I'm going to go Chiefs in the over.
But I think the Chiefs will win.
I think Chiefs I think Chiefs win, but I think that you're safe with the Saints if you take the 5.5, right? I think it's a late last-second field goal or some ref ball. We are out for today. Y'all have a great day. Remember, Jesus loves you, so do I. And
the Titans didn't lose.
They still stink, though.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your touchdown headquarters for the Mosley Dolphins and the Auburn Tigers.
Touchdown, Auburn!
Plus, premier college and NFL games.
Touchdown! Incredible!
Your source for the most live football on the Gulf Coast in a rich audio experience.
ESPN Northwest Florida.